Have you ever gotten that feeling that after watching a certain amount of animes, every single one becomes repetitive, predictable, and boring? For example, if you've watched Naruto, One Punch Man, and Dragon Ball Z as some of your first animes, there's a higher chance that you don't enjoy My Hero Academia as much as if you were to watch it beforehand. That is because concepts and themes get repetitive, key plot points become obvious, and overall characters don't differ that much from one another. And some animes even never tend to beat the power of friendship allegations. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate these types of animes. I even think that they are fundamental for newer anime watchers, because let's say you want to start watching animes. Starting off with something like My Hero Academia is going to be much better than starting off with Neon Genesis Evangelion, for example. Although some people might prefer to dive in deeply when starting, the fundamental animes still stand as a great choice for beginners. They are simple, straightforward, and fun. That is the way that they are intended to be, which is fine by me. But as someone who started their anime journey back in 2014, I didn't get to experience many of the more common options nowadays, since shows like Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, and Jujutsu Kaisen were released much later. And to be honest, I may be a little biased, as even before starting my anime journey, when I was really young, I saw the anime that would later become the first anime I've ever watched and my favorite anime till this day on TV. That anime is D.Gray-Man. Although not the most unorthodox anime on the list, D.Gray-Man is definitely up there, and a great way to start off the video. Let's talk about what makes D.Gray-Man different from the more standard and mainstream animes. First is the setting. D.Gray-Man takes place in a fictional 19th century version of what I believe is Victorian England, with the anime relying on the dark, gloomy atmosphere instead of the typical sunny and optimistic theme. Mist engulfs the towns, making people's disappearances remain unseen, leaving their loved ones rotting in sorrow and grief. Those disappearances are caused by the Akumas, which are machines with a grieving soul trapped inside of them. That brings us to our next talking point, body horror. If the setting, disappearances and atmosphere doesn't tick you off a bit, then the body horror probably will. As the Akumas that we mentioned camouflage themselves. They may look like any regular human being you know, or a loved one you can't wait to talk to. But as soon as you get to talk to them, your excitement fades into despair, as before your eyes, a gruesome transformation happens. Now imagine that you are the soul trapped inside of the Akuma, being the reason and the last thing your loved ones see, before eventually getting slaughtered. But that is not all, as the more an Akuma kills, the more it evolves, becoming an even greater nightmare fuel. This element for sure stands out a lot, as in most shonens, you have your friends, or guild, or at least a place you can kinda call home, but in D.Gray-Man, these things are limited or non-existent. Your friends, well, they might be Akumas, waiting for the moment you drop your guard down. Your town, engulfed in darkness and mist, doesn't protect you from the danger. It provokes it, being the perfect hunting ground. But you are not the hunter, you are the hunted. But you have to live, because where else can you go? Traveling is even more dangerous, even for the strongest of exorcists, those possessed by the gods, being the last spark of hope for humanity's survival. But even they are not safe, as deaths and screams of torture are a form of arousal for the main group of villains, which sends the message, loud and clear, no one is safe. Man, I remember being young, and seeing the General Jaeger deranged and singing scene for the first time, and being scared senseless for the next couple of hours. Also, if you wonder why I used that scene while trying to keep the video as spoiler free as possible, it's because this is an anime only scene. Anyways, another theme in D.Gray-Man that I don't really notice in other animes is the religion versus science one. The exorcist bound by fate versus the scientific machines created for their destruction. Which brings the question, should humanity surrender to the newly scientific beings, or should it fight to preserve our fate? But as I am getting carried away with the D.Gray-Man propaganda, let's continue with the other animes. And hopefully, you would let me know if you want a separate D.Gray-Man video. Gachiakuta. This one is kinda tricky because the anime isn't fully out yet and I haven't read the manga. Normally I would have read the manga first before talking, but as Studio Bones is my favorite studio, I'll stick to the anime. But even though there are only a couple of episodes released, Gachiakuta still beats the narrative for a mainstream anime. So a quick summary of what's happening in the anime. This is the sphere and this is the pit. On the sphere there are two types of residents. Those who are born as upper class and live in luxury, and those who are not so lucky, who are born lower class and live in the swamps. The sphere's rules are strict, but as we know from other pieces of fiction, they are even stricter for the lower class, as if you do something naughty, you get sent on a not so magical journey to the pit. And the pit isn't the most welcoming place, as if you even manage to survive the fall, you are greeted by putrid smell and trash beasts. Oh, and if you're not a giver by default, your chances of survival are practically zero, as trash beasts attack humans on sight. There's a chance of other people kidnapping and selling you. Yeah, you're the precious currency now. Do you remember that one SpongeBob episode in which they got lost on a bus and ended up in no man's land with all the weird creatures? It's kinda the same, no? Anyways, life sucks if you're a normal person surviving the fall. But what if you're a giver by default and you have the means to fight back? Well, you might be able to defeat the trash beasts, but you know, sticking only with trash beasts as enemies would be kinda boring and will get repetitive over time, so there's a twist. But let's first explain what givers are. If I understood correctly, givers become givers by pouring their feelings and emotions into an object, which makes the object into a weapon, which is really cool. Anyways, correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong about the givers, or anything in general, so the twist we mentioned earlier was him. Enter the love child of Hisoka and King Von, but instead of bungee gum, which in case you forgot has the properties of both rubber and gum, and Gok 19, he uses poison-infused ghost, but it isn't his fighting style that makes him special, it's the personality. He's completely insane. If that isn't enough uniqueness for you, I'm just gonna mention that Rudo, the main character, uses a shit-enhanced plunger to fight. I repeat, shit-enhanced plunger. Such a golden scene, man. I got carried away again. Just go and watch it. It's great and there's only a couple of episodes released. Dorohedoro. Bro, where do I even begin on this one? Everything about Dorohedoro is completely insane. From the art, which is the reason most people don't watch it in the first place, to the characters, the plot and the comedy. Let's start with the art, which is, yeah, CGI. Almost everything is CGI, and even I was skeptic at first because of that. But to be honest, after the first episode, it kinda felt natural, and I even started enjoying it. Let's talk about the characters. You love a giant talking Komodo dragon? We have Kaiman. You love muscle mummies? We have Noi. You love giant cockroaches? Yes, we even have that one. How can you hate Johnson, man? Just look how cute and friendly he is. But let's say crocs, muscle mummies and cockroaches aren't your thing, which I totally understand, not everyone likes crocs. Then maybe the story or the character dynamics might be the thing for you. The story basically is the croc trying to find the person who transformed him into his current state, as he was human once, and the way he does it is by eating the head of the person he wants to interrogate. When he does it, his human self appears and tells the croc if he recognizes him as the person who transformed him. Yes, it is weird, but that is what Dorohedoro is about. It isn't afraid to be weird. There are so many crazy things about Dorohedoro that I feel like it really deserves a separate video as well. Well guys, that was all I had prepared for today. I really hope that you're gonna check those animes out, and if you want a part 2, make sure to tell me down in the comments below. Much love, and I'll catch you in the next one.